Water is going to be the next and far worse crisis that humanity faces on this planet. Oil shortage is going to be a puppy in comparison.
Slavery all began on the island of Gorée off the coast of Senegal for millions of Africans and ended for some with the invisible trapdoor of my abolitionist ancestors' stop in the Underground Railroad. One of many fighting slavery, not Quakers, though I became a Quaker late in my life. Good thing, too, because by the time I fell into magic, I was prepared in the silent worship of meeting to see how easy it is to tap into the collective unconscious.
The Quaker meeting never depends on a single person, never depends on an original idea that from which everything else follows. There is rather a kind of inspiration, and the idea, I think, is beautifully expressed in somebody else's quote, that the light dawns gradually over the whole. But you've got to have the whole, and you've got to have everybody participating in a different way in making the light manifest. And that's very much the way it is, too, with our response to climate change and the problems of overpopulation and increasing waste and pollution and so forth. It certainly is true that we're going to need to have some governmental action, but it's also true that the action of lots of individuals is going to help to make the light dawn over the whole, gradually, slowly. And we have to have confidence that it'll work.
Richard is one of our captains on Hokulea today, but he's best known for one of the few that were on the first voyage from Hawaii to Tahiti in 1976 when Mao was the navigator.
Even when I surfed, you know, like my dad, if you're gonna go surf, you didn't just go surf, you came home with something. Things, you know, to take the time to pick limu, you know, bring them a couple of shrimp, go catch a fish or two and things, but do something where you bring food to the table and things. And most of us grew up that way, but by then we've grown up and we've all evolved and things to this kind of modern world and things, and where everything's at our fingertips. All we got to do is the cash to pay for it. To go to Mao's Island and see people live with only what they can produce, you know, with their own hands and their own heart and soul was an eye-opener and a lesson for all of us.
Coincidences occurred as I pored over the Drinkwater's glass plate photography, diaries and letters, which made me feel that I was being guided by the sea captain and his wife Alice to write their book for Random House. I found a collection right under my nose up in the family's attic that was unparalleled till now in all American seafaring history, because its parts, photographs, the letters, the diaries, all connect, unlike those extant in collections which don't. The importance of this collection is that Sumner writes, I've just taken a photograph. I've just taken a snapshot, is what he used to say. And the photograph exists till today, labeled. The captain's daughter, my adopted aunt, named after the first Alice, living most of her life in her childhood home, kept all of her father's seafaring collection intact. So I knew the Drinkwaters bought a bay mare for $75 and a buckboard wagon for $42.50 in 1890. Then, 12 years later, they purchased a home. 1902. And I lived during my university years with my aunts at the sea captain's home in Yarmouth. Well, how is it that I go from one end of the U.S. to the other, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, residing most recently in Hawaii? Actually, long-distance deep-water voyages to the Pacific Ocean were safer than sailing the coast of Maine, close to those treacherous rocks and the pine tree-covered shore. My interest in history became a career and later a cause, drinking water. Now, when the captain's beloved wife Alice died in 1915, he put a globe on their monument commemorating their around-the-world voyage in 1897.
I know I think the canoe needs to go around the world to honor peace and teaching.
So we've left already. We've left May in 2014. I'm excited about Hokulea, be around the Earth's mana.
I had a chapter on mana because people are always asking me about mana. Well, how do I achieve mana? I don't think they should be working on mana. I think they should be working on pono. The first thing to get to achieve mana is to forget it. Do what you're supposed to be doing.